Welcome to Ideas Pod at Raisina Dialogue 2025 to the session on Japan's strategic investments. I have with me Mr. Tadashi Maeda, Chairman of the Board, Japan Bank for International Cooperation, and Mr. Osamu Yamamoto, Chief Executive Officer, Unison Capital Management. So let me start with you, Maeda-san. What are the strategic investments that are central to Japan, given the current situation and the current times, to maintain its competitiveness and its economic security?
Okay, back to 2010, when I was a special advisor to cabinet at that time, the Chinese armed fishermen's boat embedded into the territorial water in Senkaku Island in Okinawa Prefecture. Then we law enforcement forces arrested that captain of fishing boats, but in return, China did several different kind of things. One is that to put a ban on export of rare earth element to Japan abruptly, and also that to some of restriction of the export-import transaction by airports and also ports, and also that arrested some Japanese businessmen. That's a kind of a threat by China. Therefore, that is a wake-up call. And then in 2011, rare earth element, by the way, Japanese state-owned enterprise JOGMEC, and jointly with Sojitsu, which is one of the trading company, made equity investment each $250 million to acquire a share of Linus, which is a company who's developed rare earths from Western Australia and then also processing rare earths. And then in return, Japan can right to offtake 8,500 tons per annum of rare earth element. Rare earth element for 10 years. That's the first kickoff that we responded to that threat of the supply chain issue of a rare earth element and also the critical minerals.
Right, that is a good segue to my question to you, Mr. Yamamoto. Critical minerals, rare earths have been mentioned several times. Energy resources, technologies, these are intrinsically linked in our times today. And Japan is at the center of a lot of it when it comes to technologies and access to rare earths. So how is Japan approaching it in the current times, critical mineral security?
Short answer, to work with you, India. And let me elaborate a little bit. Japan has technology, which is about the circular economy. We call this waste to wealth. Waste to wealth is a big concept, and India is promoting this one too. India has a series of policy package that would promote this waste to wealth. Now, waste is everywhere, but in India, it's gigantic. Okay, it has created a huge social issues, but now, given the current situation for the rare earths and all those, the resources are constrained, garbage is gold. You have e-waste. You have agricultural waste, and you have all those, the urban waste. All those things, if you apply right technology, can be converted into something very meaningful. You're talking about, Madam, talking about the rare earth aspects. You can recover those from e-waste, for example. And Japan has those technology. We call this 4R. Recycle, reduce, reuse, and redesign.
Right.
Japanese private sector full of those technology.
Right.
Whereas Japan's market, in terms of a quantity of the garbage, waste, it's shrinking.
Right.
It's a good thing for the Japanese people, but a bad thing for the private sector.
A very interesting point to take away. Garbage is gold.
Garbage is gold.
Right,
okay?
and we have to recycle.
And your garbage is going to be 4x in 3 years' time.
Yes, and we do need to recycle it. You're quite correct. So, but that brings me to the thorny question of how you're making your investment decisions, right? Standards and non-tariff barriers are a key concern in markets such as India and other countries in the global south. So, how much of an impact do standards and non-tariff barriers, like green standards, how much of that is involved in Japanese companies' decision making when it comes to investments in the global south?
That's an interesting question, and that could be answered in multiple ways. But let me take a very optimistic view. Led by people like a leader like Chairman Maeda here. Japan-India has a very good, G2G relationship. As in a private sector, we can rely on it. Okay, and so you were talking about the non-tariff barrier, all those obstacles.
Yes.
But obstacles at the end of the day is a policy level decisions.
Right.
Yes. And as a private sector, why we are very optimistic about the future relationship is Indo-Japan corridor, because of the great relationship that both government has.
Right.
That way we can understand that there's a certainty, predictability about those things.
Right.
Predictability is something that would promote private sector investments.
That's true.
So
Political stability, policy stability.
That's why I'm very optimistic about it.
That's good to hear. Maeda-san, your take on this?
Yes, JB Bank has conducted the annual surveys of foreign direct investment for more than 35 years. Up to 2017, China is the number one, and India is maybe number 4, number 3. But after the COVID-19 era, China declined very sharply, now number 6. And India is number 1 for 4 consecutive years, number 1. So the foreign direct investors see that India as the most prominent market for foreign direct investment. But this is such as a beauty contest. So that's Japanese companies see India as a potentially more lucrative market. But the reality is that number 1 right now on the capital of foreign direct investment move to the destination is the United States at number 1 right now. So Japan is now number 1 foreign direct investor to the U.S.
Right.
India is number 2.
Right.
But it means that compared with the potential, India has not yet reached the full maximum potential. Therefore, that this is, you said, the non-tariff barrier is a kind of a complicated regulation, for example, and also that the so-called environment of investment. Some of each kind of red tape of municipalities and so on. That therefore, still also language barrier as well, probably. But now this is the most important issue for us to keep the very straightforward and also very transparent kind of rule and regulation to continue. Therefore, that now Prime Minister Modi is now 11th year already have Prime Minister and also very sustainable. Therefore, that I hope, and I'm very confident that India will be number 1 in very near future.
It's a good hope. We share that hope. Let me ask you one more question then. You've both shared very optimistic views of India-Japan relations in the current strategic times. Overall, how is Japan approaching economic policy with the shifts and moves in the international trade sphere? Maeda-san, you first.
Yes. We are now promoting that a foreign direct investment from Japan to India from many variety of sector and also that issue. One key is at renewable energy, and also that new kind of product like hydrogen and ammonia. We need to bring these to India and also as a partner. At the same time, India and Japan jointly will play a certain key role in a global trade market.
Right.
So that we need to understand that each other, that we are best partners, and not just only in India, but also for jointly to the South countries.
Right.
That's a very good example. Therefore, that we now using, for example, that Japan and India already created the joint investment fund.
Yes.
We deploy $300 million. A partner, NIIF, deploy another $300 million. It means $600 million fund. It's originally requested by Prime Minister Modi. I responded 1 year later. So that this is a good example. More targeted sector investment is the renewable energy and the circular economy right now. So but this is very limited to the India.
Right.
So next chapter must be jointly Japan and India to jointly to third countries.
So targeted cooperation in trilateral partnerships
Sure.
in the global south. That's a very interesting thought. Yamamoto-san, your views?
Yeah, just echoing Chairman Maeda's point, getting back to this waste to wealth
Yes.
theme.
Yes.
First step is Japan, India, India, Japan work together
Yes.
for around 4. Then you can start deploying that joint solution to the areas like the Middle East or areas like Africa. So that's the kind of a strategic direction Japanese private sector now beginning to think.
Right.
Japan, India, then Middle East, then to Africa.
Interesting.
That's our future.
That is an interesting trade corridor you have just described. So in one sentence, your final thoughts on the strategic partnership that we've been building.
Former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said in 2007 in his remarks at the Parliament, title is a conference of the two seas. It's the beginning of the concept of the free and open Indo-Pacific. That time, Prime Minister Abe said, strong Japan is a national interest of India. Strong India is a national interest of Japan. This is a concept. We continue to keep this concept and move forward ahead.
Very, very interesting. You, sir. Final thoughts.
One word, partnership.
Partnership.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Chairman said, we need you
Yes.
and you need us.
Yes. It sounds like a beautiful relationship, and that's it for this session. Thank you.